Later this week, the Minnesota Senate kicks off hearings to determine who is to blame and why the looting and violence went on for so long after George Floyd's death. Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka announced the hearings last week, and earlier this morning I spoke to him about that and other issues. Take a look. And the Majority Leader, Senator Paul Gazelka, joins us right now. Senator Gazelka, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good to be on your show, Esme.
You announced this week that you were going to be holding hearings, the Senate was, on why the violence and looting lasted so long in the Twin Cities after George Floyd's death. What's your goal?
Well, we didn't want to forget, first of all, what happened and to learn from this. And the only way you can do that is to ask questions. For example, why, the tragic death of George was on Monday. The mayor on Tuesday asked for the National Guard, but they really didn't stop the violence until Saturday. The mayor's blaming the governor's blaming the mayor, and so we want to get to the bottom of that. Why was the precinct destroyed when they had knowledge ahead of time? Why was a statue torn down when they had knowledge ahead of time? So what went wrong? Why did the things happen the way they did? And we feel like that's our responsibility as the Senate to make sure that we provide oversight and look into these matters.
I'm pretty sure that the mayor asked for the National Guard on Wednesday, but there still is certainly criticism that they really weren't visibly on the street until Saturday doing their job. There's so much that didn't get done in the special session. Shouldn't you be spending your energies focusing on what should still get done, like a bonding bill and police reform?
The Senate can do more than one thing at one time. I do think that we should focus on a bonding bill, which we have. Basically, the two chairs are about 95% complete, so we can actually do one. So that's going to happen. I do think the police accountability is important. And if you looked at the very end of the special session, there were a lot of things that we talked about. Those dialogues are still moving forward. The local government aid from the federal stimulus, the governor released the money pretty much the way we had done it in the legislative branch. And so, yeah, I think we should work on those, but to not have oversight of some of the things that happened and forget about that, I think is a mistake as well.
I do want to ask you about the toppling of the Christopher Columbus statue at the Capitol, which happened June 10th. This is sort of days after the looting. I know that you and many other Senate Republicans are deeply bothered by that. You see it almost as a continuing of the lawlessness that you feel has sort of resulted here in the state. Tell me about why that is such a touch point for you.
Well, we should not allow mob rule to change anything in our culture. And when the governor had been notified that afternoon, at least an hour ahead of time, and then the group came up there, they told the one police officer that they put outside there that they intended to tear it down, which they told the governor earlier, and then that police officer going into the Capitol and that being torn down, it was like, I cannot believe this is how they think change should happen in Minnesota. There are legal ways and processes if we want to remove something or change something, and it's not allowing a mob to do it for you. And so I was surprised that Lieutenant Governor Flanagan basically said, that she was happy it was gone. And so it's not so much about the statue, even though that's important. It's about how we do it. And you see this happening all across the country, and it's just not the way we do things in Minnesota.
The Lieutenant Governor, of course, is the highest-ranking Native American lawmaker in the country. She is an Ojibwe. She obviously was talking about the history of Christopher Columbus, and I think that's what she was speaking of, that she wasn't shedding a tear that it was gone. But certainly your hearings are going to look at that. I do want to ask you about police reform, Senator, because on one issue, one of the biggest issues, it seemed like you folks were awfully close. The wording you had on changing the statute on chokeholds and officers responding to other officers telling them not to go ahead with that, it was awfully close, protecting respecting the sanctity of life. But you wanted to do it through the post board. The House wanted to do it through an actual change in law. Isn't that close enough? Can't a compromise be worked out?
Well, I hope a compromise is worked out. That wasn't really the issue why we didn't finish. The House wanted many more reforms that we were unwilling to do. And so that's why I say the conversations are still happening. The fact that we all agreed that chokeholds should be banned except in an emergency, and some of the things you mentioned. We added 2 more citizens to the post board for more citizen input, but not oversight. It shouldn't be citizens that decide how police officers police. They know what's best for what they do. And so, and then arbitration was another thing. We feel like if a police officer is a bad apple, there has to be a better way to get rid of them. And so that was another thing moving forward. So I do expect some things to get done. I hope it's in the next special session, but I don't think we're going to have change that takes months and months and months to work through. But we had 11 provisions that we thought should be done, and I hope we can get to a conclusion.
All right. Well, we'll certainly be following this week. The governor has not yet announced when a special session will be. We're all expecting that. Senator Gazelka, thank you so much for your time this morning.